Hi, my name's Sam Chapman. Welcome to the Have It All YouTube channel, bringing you inspirational people who are making a difference in the world, and they are doing it in their way and success within life on their terms. So I'd love to introduce you to Aisling FitzGibbon and Professor Paul Connett. So welcome. Thank you so much for coming on the channel.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you.
So what I want to do first of all is get to know you a little bit and find out a bit about who you are, and then we can talk about why we're here. And today we're going to talk about something that really matters. It's inspirational people, and what you are doing is you are creating a huge movement around the world and helping to free people from some really nasty things that are causing us some trouble to ourselves, our families, and the whole world. So first of all, Aisling, can you tell me a little bit about you and your background and you know, like who you are?
Yeah, well, I am a qualified nutritional therapist and I practice online, so I work internationally. Before that, I started off, I suppose after university, I became a full-time activist and started the campaign, The Girl Against Fluoride. And it was through that campaign that I met Paul and ended up in Washington, D.C. with Paul and his organization, Fluoride Action Network, in 2014. And I've been heavily influenced by the work of Paul's pioneering work, really, because it was his website that I went to when I first started off my campaign to find out the science, to see if there was any risk to do with fluoride, because I was hearing this from the lady that I trained with in nutrition. She informed me that they're adding fluoride to the Irish drinking water, which I wasn't aware of. And I myself had my own health challenges, and they were cured essentially when I started to remove the fluoride out of my diet and replenish my body with minerals like magnesium and iodine and things like that. And then I suppose I started off wanting to get to the root cause, because obviously people can take measures in their own homes. They can filter out the fluoride. If they choose, they can use fluoride-free toothpaste. But as we're saying, some people are in a position that are unable to afford to do that. So we want to actually get it out at the source. We don't want it to be put into the water supply in the first place. This is a practice that's been going on for the past, well, over 50 years now, and it's really an outdated practice. But the reason why I'm very linked to Paul is because he is really the pioneer of the American movement, and this policy is coming from a public policy from America. So Ireland is very influenced by that, which is why it's very important for us to team up and to reach more people about the fact that it's education that's needed, not fluoridation, which Paul, you will share a little bit about that, because for me, like, I started off doing the campaign, The Girl Against Fluoride, and I realized, especially when I went to Washington in 2014, I realized, I suppose I started off quite naive. I was quite young. I was thinking, oh, surely once the government sees that there's these health studies that are out there that are, potentially showing that it's very, harmful to certain people drinking it. I thought that would be it. I thought they'll surely just turn it around. And, we lobbied local councils. We lobbied all of the senator, in the Dáil, they got passed through legislation with one of the political parties. There was so much work being done, and again, just coming up against brick walls. So I suppose part of my whole reason for wanting to be a nutritionist and to work into the area of health education, and I feel that once that message is reached to enough people, that the pressure will start to mount and people will demand that it's actually taken out of the water.
Mm-hmm. So, Aisling, just to confirm, I know you, obviously, we're very close, and this is this passionate thing that you were doing even before I met you. How many followers did you have in the Irish campaign? Because obviously I'm here in the UK. How many did you have in Ireland?
Yeah, well, over 25,000 followers, and that grows all the time. And yeah, it's been, I suppose, a grassroots movement, because I started off basically just posting on my own page, and I did like different stunts, and then we set up The Girl Against Fluoride, became like this kind of character that I used to dress as a superhero and do various stunts around the place, and that actually captured a lot of people's imagination, and as a result then you could then tell them the message. So it's been really
what I want to really show people as well is, because obviously I know you and how much research and study you do. So your qualifications, Aisling, tell us a bit about, you know, your qualifications and how long you studied for before you even started saying all these things. You've got just an array of qualifications I find extraordinary.
Yeah, well, I trained, firstly I did a BA degree in early childhood studies, and that led me to then do a Bachelor of Science in occupational therapy. And I suppose because of my own health challenge, then I realised I wanted to basically find a way to create health as opposed to just working in the medical system where you're dealing with lots of diseases and, you know, it's been, I suppose, the end stage. So I wanted to really focus into preventative healthcare. So I've qualified as a nutritional therapist. I've qualified with Bill Walsh, and his it's basically blood and urine analysis to test people who have deficiencies or excess in their biochemistry with certain nutrients that then impacts their mental functioning. I've studied with Dr. Natasha Camper-McBride, who is a neurologist from Russia, who actually became a full-time nutritional therapist working with children with autism, because she actually ended up helping and curing her own son of autism. So I've done a huge amount of further education on top of the nutritional therapy to really become, I suppose, an expert in being able to heal people's bodies using natural methods through diet and through specific supplements. And I do energy work, and, you know, I've done so many different training courses at this point. It's almost ridiculous, but it's been over a period of 10 years to get to this point. And now I feel very clear in my direction.
So in my mind, you really are an authority. You are a qualified, you know, you're more than qualified to talk about this subject, because you have done over 10 years of research and you've got qualifications coming out of your ears. So it's so great to know that when we're talking to people who really have a lot of expertise here. So Paul, tell me a little bit about you and your background and how you ended up in this, you know, inspirational campaign to help, you know, people rid the world of fluoride as much as you can, I guess.
Okay, well, in a nutshell, I grew up in England, spent the first 26 years there, then went to the States to do a PhD in biochemistry. That was interrupted by the Vietnam Peace movement. I got involved with a series of activities, finally got back into biochemistry, got a PhD in chemistry at Dartmouth College, and that was in 1983. In 1983, I then started teaching at St. Lawrence University. In the beginning, my specialty was biochemistry, but within a year and a half of starting teaching at St. Lawrence, I got involved with the battle against a local incineration proposal. I started to fight that proposal, and before I knew what was happening, I was being invited by communities all over the area, then eventually all over the United States, and eventually all over the world. I've now spoken on waste in 65 different countries in total.
That's awesome.
And that changed my speciality at university, like Aisling here. You start to do the things you're really interested in. You know, you get a training in one thing and then you decide you're really interested. In my case, it was because of risk assessment for the incinerator and the dioxin issue. I eventually phased out of biochemistry and into environmental chemistry and toxicology. So I've been doing that for 32 years.
Wow, and so I've got a huge amount of expertise sitting in front of me here.
Well, 32 years, and in the beginning it was no, it was a negative. It was no to incineration, no to landfill. But now, today, it's much more positive. It's yes. It's yes to zero waste. Yes to zero waste and the circular economy. It's using zero waste as a stepping stone to sustainability. And that's exciting. It begins with everybody with these 10 things to separate, source separate. Then I have 10 steps, which eventually ends up in absolutely minimizing how much of the waste goes to landfill, stabilizing the organics, not building incinerators. And recognizing that the community cannot do everything. The community can do a lot. Like San Francisco is up to 80% diversion without incineration. Over 1,000 communities in Italy are getting over 70% diversion from landfill with recycling and composting. But the last 20% or so has to come from industrial responsibility. So we, the communities, have to say to industry, if we can't reuse it, recycle it, or compost it, you shouldn't be making it. We need better industrial design for the 21st century. So in other words, you can look at this difference here. We got some people in Ireland, rather old, who still want to build incinerators. Their attitude is we should recycle and compost as much as we can, but the stuff that's left over, we'll burn. Mm-hmm. And that takes 25 years. It takes 25 years to pay for an incinerator. It's a very, very long-term short gap solution. They call it a short gap. It's a very long-term solution. And the alternative is if you can't reuse it, recycle it, or compost it, then we have to study it. We have to redesign it. We need our professors and students and so on. Very positive, because this gives a handle for every human being in Ireland and across the world to be part of a movement towards sustainability. We can't all build windmills. We can't all grow food, but we all have waste to contend with. We do it the right way. We are helping our community move towards sustainability. So that's a very positive campaign.
So how did you move into the fluoride? Because this is obviously the brainchild that you're over to in Ireland to work with. I'm very excited to, especially as a parent, you know, Harry's 8, I'm very excited to hear what you're doing and the inspirational work that you're both doing together. So how did you get started with the fluoride campaign, Paul?
Answer, my wife. One day, 1996, to be precise, July the 6th, 1996, she came and put a cup of tea on my table. I should have been suspicious. And a bunch of papers. And I said, what's this? And she says, fluoridation. I said, take that away. These people are crazy. So I had fallen victim, like many academics, that the people opposed to fluoridation are Looney Tunes, that there's something wrong with them, Flat Earth Society, Dr. Strange stuff, you know. But this is contrived. Now I know, of course, this is all contrived to keep people away from the argument. So they put on their white coats and pretend to be experts. And the people that are against fluoridation are Looney Tunes, crazy people. We don't have to listen to them.
It's a great PR campaign, right?
What's it?
It's a great campaign. It's a great PR campaign, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's all PR.
Yeah.
But the trouble is, whilst we have the science, they have the power, and they use it, or rather they abuse it. But to continue, by this time in 1996, I am now teaching toxicology, things like risk assessment, margins of safety, and so on, and applying exactly the same scientific principles that I'd applied to dioxin with incinerators. I applied to the notion of putting fluoride into the water. And it's just appalling when you do that. You know, Aisling is a nutritionist. Fluoride is not a nutrient. There's not one thing in the body that needs fluoride. And there's not one molecule in the body that has fluoride in it. As far as the teeth is concerned, if it has any benefit at all, it's topical. It's fluoride, a mineral, reacting with another mineral, calcium hydroxyapatite in the enamel. It's nothing to do with biology. It's chemistry. And you don't need to swallow it. It makes, therefore, water fluoridation is absolutely absurd. And then the other thing is to use the public water supply to deliver medicine. This is real common sense here. Any medicine. We have never used the water supply to deliver any other medicine because it's a stupid thing to do. Because once you put the medicine in the water, you can't control the dose, you can't control who it goes to, and you're violating the individual's right to informed consent to medicine. And I am absolutely shocked that doctors in Ireland are not speaking up on this issue because they know they can't do what the government is doing. The government is putting a so-called medicine in their drinking water and asking and forcing everybody to drink it. But if I was a doctor, and I said to Aisling, drink this, there's something in it that's good for your teeth or good for your collywobbles or whatever. And she says, I don't want to drink that. I said, you must. What do you mean I must? Well, if you don't drink this, don't trust me, don't come back to my office again. If the doctor used any kind of pressure like that, instead of informing her of the downside and the benefits, he or she could lose their license. So the government of Ireland is doing to everybody what a doctor can do to no one, violate their individual right to informed consent. And that, quite frankly, is enough for anybody to fight this issue. You do not need a PhD. You do not need to be a scientist. You do not have to know very much. What you need to know is the government has no right to force the people to drink fluoridated water.
So what would you say, the average person, I'm going to be honest because we had a conversation. I was at the dentist the other day and I took my 8-year-old and Harry's looking at the mouthwashes and, you know, they look pretty and they've got great branding and he wants a mouthwash. So I do what I always do and I looked on the back. So I said to the receptionist, what is actually the main reason that you would use a mouthwash? And she said, to add fluoride. And I said, okay, well, what's the benefits of fluoride? And they said, oh, well, you know, it's going to help the teeth. And I said, okay, so what about the toothpaste? Or do you have any toothpaste without fluoride? Oh, no, you mustn't use a toothpaste without fluoride because fluoride is what helps the teeth, strengthen the teeth. Now, as a parent, even though I've known Ashleen for a long time and trust her completely, and I know that we don't ever drink fluoride in our water, would not use it in the UK here, as an educated person with, I would say, perhaps a better than average understanding because I've got someone here to explain to me, my mind instantly said, oh my God, but what if I miss out on something in my teeth and the child's teeth fall out? And what if I'm not doing it right now? I already know that the fluoride isn't good, but that was the instant thing in my mind. So I guess my question to you, Paul, is what are the dangers of fluoride and us taking fluoride? What does it actually do that's not good for you?
I'm going to talk about that, but I want to help you and everybody else like you who's intimidated by dentists, as if, look, dentists are trained on teeth, right? Teeth. And you've used the word teeth, I think, at least a dozen times already in just a few sentences. Teeth, 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 teeth. There are more tissues in the body than teeth. You've got bones, you've got brains, you've got the thyroid system, you've got the rest of the endocrine system. All these tissues are of concern, and the dentist has no training on those other tissues. A dentist has no right to say that fluoridation is safe. He can argue that it's effective. And the science is not very good, but he could argue that. But he should not be arguing that it's safe and that you have nothing to worry about. That's point number one. Point number two, as I've said before, it works topically. You don't need to swallow it. Point number three, the evidence that there's a difference in tooth decay between fluoridated communities and non-fluoridated communities, fluoridated countries and non-fluoridated countries, is extremely weak. You know, most countries in Europe are not fluoridated. 97% of the European population does not drink fluoridated water. Only people in Spain, England, and Ireland. Ireland is one of the very few countries in the world in which this is mandatory. But if the World Health Organization collects data on tooth decay in 12-year-olds, and if you plot it from the 60s to the present, tooth decay in 12-year-olds has been coming down as fast in non-fluoridated countries as fluoridated ones. If anything, the rate of decline in tooth decay is coming down faster in these non-fluoridated countries than the fluoridated ones. So the evidence that swallowing fluoride actually benefits teeth is extremely weak. The evidence that you should put it in the drinking water is extremely weak with respect to the consequences. Now, to answer your question.
So basically what you're saying is that fluoride is dangerous. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying it's unnecessary. I think they do not have the compelling scientific evidence to show that communities in which the water is fluoridated have better tooth decay than the communities which are not fluoridated. So why on earth are we going through all the angst and the risks and the lack of ethics of forcing this on people? But the risks are serious. There are now over 300 animal and human studies which indicate that fluoride damages the brain. It is neurotoxic. Now, there are studies which shows that fluoride can enter the brain in animals, it can interfere with the mechanisms in the brain, and so on. So lots of biochemistry, number one. Number two, they put animals in mazes where the animal has to find the cheese, you know, and they found keeping everything else the same, the housing, the food supply, everything is the same except one set of animals has fluoride and the other one doesn't. And the animals that have fluoride are less able to find the cheese. They're less able to memorize, less able to comprehend the situation. And that is completely consistent with the fact that we also have 51 human studies which show an association with exposure to fluoride and lowering of IQ. One study in China, in which I visited the villages where this was done, they divided the high fluoride village, fluoride in the water naturally occurring, into 5 subgroups with different concentrations. 0.75 parts per million. Remember, in Ireland, you fluoridated at 0.7, 0.75, 1.5, 2 point something, 3 point something, and 4 point something parts per million. And they looked at these subgroups, and they found that as the fluoride concentration went up, the IQ went down. So you have a dose-response relationship.
I think as a mum, Paul, it makes me actually quite, I didn't expect to.
No, it's tricky. And the numbers, you know, when the other side sees this, oh, no, these levels are so high, you don't worry about it. The levels in China are so high, and they didn't control for this, that, and the other. But the study I'm talking about controlled for lead, controlled for iodine, controlled for arsenic. Those are all things which could interfere with an IQ study. And the levels were not high. What I told you, in their experiment, the IQ dropped between 0.75 and 1.5, somewhere in there.
So why did fluoride get into the water? This is my question. When we get to this point and, you know, feel so emotional, what was the reason that it was ever put in? I'm in England.
To lower tooth decay. The scientists, you know, first of all, it begins with the study of what was causing dental fluorosis. They didn't call it dental fluorosis in the 1930s in the United States, from the beginning of the 20th century. They called it dental mottling. There's a discoloration of the teeth, markings on the teeth, and so on. And until 1931, when they found that the cause of this dental fluorosis, well, dental mottling, which was fluoride in the water. So from that moment onwards, it was called dental fluorosis, poisoning of the teeth by fluoride. And they thought, the dentists who were doing this work were surprised that the children that had dental fluorosis didn't have the kind of tooth decay that you would expect. So they said, maybe there's a level of fluoride in the water which would lower tooth decay without causing too much dental fluorosis. And that's where they said 1 part per million would lower tooth decay without causing too much dental fluorosis. And the dental fluorosis would be so very mild that only a dentist would know it was happening. Okay, run the clock forward to today. And the Center for Disease Control and other big bodies in the United States confirm that over 50% of teenagers in the United States now have dental fluorosis. And not only in the very mild condition, but mild, moderate, and even severe.
So can I ask a question then, Paul?
What's that?
I know we're saying that you think it's dangerous, and I hear what you're saying, but I know you've also said it's, you know, it could be used topically. Would you ever use a fluoride mouthwash?
Well, no. I haven't used fluoride products for 21 years. Ever since I've learned.
Really, what we're saying is that it is not a safe thing to use as a mouthwash. And there are no benefits to even using it as a mouthwash, let alone a toothpaste. Well,
no. In fact, I think that mouthwash is probably far more dangerous than toothpaste because
straight to the gums.
It's 500 parts per million. The typical mouthwash, which contains fluoride, is 500 parts per million. You don't have to swallow much of that to be the equivalent. 500 parts per million. In drinking water, let's keep the math simple, it's 1 part per million. So you'd have to drink. That's
incredible. And you know, like I saw in the dentist, there's this little mouthwash for my little boy, and he's, you know, looking at the colours and thinking he wants to do the right thing for his teeth. And I guess it just was very overwhelming for me. And I'm really grateful to you for the information, because I feel like going and taking them off. The dentist is just in the bin. Don't touch them. This is poison. It's like going underneath the sink and giving it to your child and pouring it in, you know? It's shocking and it's very emotional. It is as a mom, and I just think it's so empowering to know this. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because without the facts, as a mum, you want to do the best and it's very confusing. And I think what I want to know now is, if there is someone like me who is shocked now and wants to do something, what's the next step? How do they get in touch with Aisling? How do they get in touch with you? Paul, how do they get in touch with you? Or what can we do? Because you're in Ireland, Aisling, and you're doing incredibly there. Paul, you're in the US and I'm in the UK. So firstly, what can I do in the UK? And what can we do to be a next step anywhere in the world?
Well, first of all, educate yourself. We need education, not fluoridation. Tooth decay is not caused by lack of fluoride. It's caused by too much sugar and not enough understanding of dental hygiene. And they've corrected this in Scotland with the Child Smile program. The kids, when they first go to school, are taught how to brush their teeth, and they're given a better diet. The parents are educated as well on the better diet, on how you brush your teeth properly. That simple procedure has a dramatic effect in Scotland, and also, of course, they're not forcing fluoride on people that don't want it. But just for a moment, consider the utter irresponsibility of a profession that endorses toothpaste, which on the box it says "do not swallow," and then flavors it, bubblegum flavor, banana flavor, strawberry flavor. That is absolutely enticing a child to swallow the toothpaste. You're only meant to use a pea-sized amount of toothpaste and spit it out. And of course, the problem with young children is their swallowing reflex is not good. And I think you should ask dentists behind the scenes. Many dentists will admit it's not the fluoride in the toothpaste, it's the toothpaste. In other words, what you've got to do is to brush your teeth. You can use soap, you can use soda, they don't taste very good, baking soda. It's the brushing, it's getting the food which is lodged between the teeth and the plaque, get rid of that with the brushing action. So to use a poison to do that, would you use arsenic to do that? No, you wouldn't. Most people wouldn't. No. But unfortunately, the public is not being informed. So we have to educate each other. We're not getting much help in the mainstream media. Exercises like yours with this communication through the internet and so on is absolutely invaluable, because the mainstream media is not doing this. You know, they don't have the science. That's why they won't debate me in public. That's why I've written a book on this with two other professors called The Case Against Fluoride. That's another thing is to read that book or borrow it.
Yeah, it'd be really good for me to introduce
this book was written by three professors, and we designed it to be readable by an ordinary intelligent person, and you can skip some of the science, but also to satisfy scientists who want the scientific references to the arguments we've made. We have 80 pages of references to the scientific literature which supports what we're saying in this book. Now, it's been out for 7 years, and there's yet to be any scientist from any fluoridating country, like New Zealand, like Australia, like Ireland, like England, like Canada, like America, nearly all English-speaking, by the way, to respond in writing. So on the one hand, they're not prepared to debate me on a public platform in front of the public, in front of the cameras, and their attitude, oh, well, he's such a good debater, you know, I know he's wrong, but I'm not a very good debater. Yeah. That's why I won't debate him. But okay.
It's actually hilarious that they say that he's too good at debating, that's why they don't debate him.
Okay.
What they mean is he has all the facts and the evidence.
Exactly.
Wait a moment. Okay, I accept you may not be a good debater. You might mumble and everything else. Fine. Yeah. But in the safety of your offices, in the safety of the offices of the experts that the Irish government is paying a lot of money to follow this study, those experts are being paid by the taxpayer. Why won't those experts go through the evidence in this book and come back with a written response? And they won't.
So it's a very interesting case, and I think we could get into theories of why that is happening, and that would be a whole different subject. But I think there is definitely enough for the average person to be shocked and want to do something. Yes. So Aisling, how does somebody get in touch with you or take the next step to get fluoride? So firstly, how does someone get in touch with you? And secondly, how would you advise someone gets fluoride out of their life?
Well, firstly, I would say you can reach me on either the Girl Against Fluoride, which is on Facebook. You can reach me there. I always respond. And I also am running a free Facebook group where, which is called Energy is Your Currency Community. Mm-hmm. This is a place where I'm basically sharing interviews and conversations like I had Paul on today. And it's really a hub of where I'm educating people, and people can ask me questions and I respond. And actually tomorrow I'm actually going to be having a water company come to my home, and we're actually going to go through a video in how people can take practical measures to get fluoride out of their life at the moment. But really the main thing is the whole education, because that's inevitably it's what's going to change the whole thing. So
they can get you on Facebook, so they can get you on a website firstly, and yeah. Can you repeat that again?
So the website is thegirlagainstfluoride.com.
Mm-hmm. And the Facebook group where they can find out more about you and what you do as a practice, as well as the fluoride. What's that?
That's Energy is Your Currency Community on Facebook.
Brilliant. Because as a coach for over 10 years, and I've worked with professionals within, sports at the top of their game, and business and entertainment, I personally can recommend Aisling because I work with her and we've worked together, and she is the most incredible world-leading nutritionist I've ever met in my life, and honoured to have her as part of my life, and the work that she does is absolutely extraordinary. So I would recommend anybody for any health related issues, or somebody just wants to improve their health, to learn from Aisling, and she's my number one who I endorse. And Paul, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, how do they do that? I'm
on Facebook, Paul Connett. I've only just joined Facebook. I've kept myself away from it because I'm scared stiff of how much communication I'm going to get. Yeah. But they could also get me through our webpage. There's a place that you can write to there. It's called fluorideaction.net. Make sure you spell fluoride, U-O, not O-U. So fluorideaction.net. A huge database on health issues and a library of videos. Interviews we've done over the last 20 years with very prominent dentists and Nobel Prize winners, all kinds of people, professionals that are opposed to fluoridation. So that's a very good source. The other thing is, keep an eye open for this symbol. It's a red or maybe a pink.
Oh yeah, it's like this. Yeah. The right way around. It's the F.
F with a line through it. The universal symbol.
Can you bring it closer to the camera? Can you bring the F? Right, perfect. Well done. Thank you. You can see that now.
So hopefully you'll get a chance to get buttons with this on, bumper stickers with this on, and maybe big posters out there. And look out for this campaign. Free Island. Now, you go around, if you saw a poster that says Free Island, what do you mean free island? Ireland's been freed from British domination, control. Ireland is free. No, Ireland is not free until you get the fluoride out of the water. You are in chains as long as you're allowing the government to put this poison into your drinking water.
Someone is in the UK, because obviously I'm here from the UK. Yeah.
Yes.
What would a person do to help with the campaign, or to help educate other people? They're interested, they're shocked, they want to do something. What do they do next? What's the next step?
Get them to the webpage. Get them to her webpage or the big webpage, Fluoride Action Network. But the key thing is that the British government is trying to fluoridate more communities right now. The citizens kept it out of Southampton. That was a great victory, great victory. Citizens are getting it out of Bedford. It's been out of Bedford now for a few years. And guess what? The performance of children in the primary schools there has dramatically increased. So, that's sort of, that's anecdotal.
So, are you saying to lobby the government? Are you saying, what would someone do? Can you speak to people, or is there other communities within the UK? What would you do if you were like, right, I want to take some action here? What do you do? After you've read the stuff on, and they've got enough evidence on your website and they're going, oh, holy moly, this is really urgent. I need to take some action here. What do we do?
Well, a few months ago in Bedford, my wife and I met up with a group of activists around the UK, from Hull, from Eastbourne, from Brighton, from London, from Bedford, of course, itself. and they formed a national alliance, Freedom from Fluoride, something like that. It's a long word. But look out for I think, search Fluoride UK. Just go Fluoride and UK, and you'll probably find a website of these folks there. But meanwhile, make sure they do not fluoridate your community. Most of the fluoridation in England is concentrated in the Midlands, Birmingham, Wolverhampton, Coventry, and so on, Northampton. So just try to stop that. If your community is fluoridated, organize with your citizens, with your neighbors and your friends to get it out. And
schools, you know, because I know that Aisling has done a lot with the schools, and that worked really well. So Aisling, would you suggest that, you know, say my little boy's in school right now, and I'll be honest, when I told Harry not to drink the water, people within his own community made him wrong and told him it was a load of rubbish and there was nothing different with drinking the water. And my little boy's going as an educated little boy saying, I don't drink this water, it's not good for me. You know, and I know the alternatives, we've talked about it. Are all bottled waters safe? I guess that's another question before we go on to that's a secondary question, but are bottled waters safe?
I would stick to spring water, make sure you've got other minerals in there, phone the company and get an elemental analysis. You certainly don't want to find yourself getting a kind of bottled water which has high levels of fluoride. So
because they add fluoride into some bottled waters, right?
Yeah, but they should indicate if they've added the fluoride. Yeah. But again, for the UK, there's two people in the UK that anybody listening to this in England should contact. Cynthia Bargy in Bedford. She's a very, very energetic and effective activist, and she will put you into contact with the nearest activist in your area. Cynthia Bargy, Baghi, it is. So look her up in the directory.
We can include that anyway. We can
and the schools thing. So back to my little boy, he's 8 years old. He does not drink water, and he's going within his own family and having people saying, "Stop talking rubbish." You know, what can a child do? I mean, Harry's at school, and I know they're drinking water. What can we do there?
Okay, here's a very important advice. This is probably the single most important thing I can tell you today. If you are a parent, do not use fluoridated tap water to make up baby formula. If you do, you're going to give that baby about 200 times more fluoride than nature intended. The level of fluoride in mother's milk is extremely low. One of the facts which got me involved, extremely low. So mother's milk protects the baby from fluoride. But fluoridated water removes that protection. That is incredibly important. So if you know anyone in the fluoridated communities like Birmingham, Wolverhampton, and so on, tell them not to use fluoridated tap waters to make up that formula.
And Aisling, I know that you've done work with schools. So if we wanted to bring Harry's school, I know that they have fluoride in the water. Well, how would you recommend because, you know, you don't want to make people wrong. So how do you bring this educational information without seeming like you point the finger, you know, that you want to do something good? How do you approach it?
Well, you see, I think the main thing is actually to educate teachers. And if you can actually have an opportunity to, you know, because my mum is a school teacher, and she's had a huge amount of work, very, very positive work happen in the school, because she educated herself, she found out all the facts, and then ran a project with the kids. Then she also did a puppet show tour where she went around to primary schools. But I think when teachers, it's like what Paul's saying, that symbol of the F, it's like, because people don't like their belief systems to be challenged. They don't like to be told that they're wrong, but it's like you have to be able to open that door with people. And once they start to see even that fact with the breast milk, like that mother's milk has such low levels of fluoride, it's like once you can get people to just have that conversation, and then if school teachers can actually do projects, I think it's very, very powerful if they can educate the children then as to the whole topic.
And don't let these professionals put you down. They have a habit of being very arrogant and putting you down. They're a doctor, they're a dentist, they know you don't, and they're going to put you down. If they try to do that, ask the doctor, if it's a doctor, ask them to list the health studies, primary health studies that have been conducted in England. In Ireland, it's easy. They've done none.
No.
In England, they've done a few, but not many. But they haven't done any on neurotoxicity. So if you ask the doctor and say, there's over 300 studies which indicate that fluoride is neurotoxic, can you tell me the studies that have been done in England to check on fluoride's neurotoxicity? They'll be, and if they're really still getting a bit uppity after that, say, well, you seem to know a lot about this and you're a professional. Would you be prepared to debate Professor Paul Connett? Because he has assured me on the internet, in person, that if there's anybody, any professor, any proponent of fluoridation, any scientist, any government official is prepared to debate him, he will come over and debate that person. Then on my next trip, okay, that usually shuts them up.
I invite somebody to challenge you.
So also, Snell, to answer your question that you asked about the bottled water, because I get this a lot of questions coming to me from all the time.
Yeah, because straight away when you hear this, you want to get it out of your life. You want to get it out of your house. And I know that bottled water is the first step. So yeah. Go on.
So I think because we did actually get a fluoride testing kit.
Yeah.
So for this week, we're actually going to be doing the testing of the water that we filter, firstly. And then I think because, look, obviously I'm not, but as you say, people, when they first hear about it, they think, how can I get spring water? And if they want to see what is the safest one on the market, I think the best thing to do would be to actually sample a few waters and just test them and then be able to see what levels. So then,
where can you get that kit from, Ashley?
You can order that online. As you know, I got the one that Declan was using.
And you can build a campaign around measuring that water, because citizens will be happy to have their water measured. And as people come to, if you set your stall up in the center of the town, you'll get a lot of people interested in that. And then they'll probably be wanting to help you afterwards.
Yeah, so that's something that I can do. And then if people come to Energy Zero Currency community, that's where I'll be sharing these videos. And, you know, and if people like that, I don't have all the answers. People come and they ask a question and they spark a new thing, or a solution will come. So it's really about collaborating with people and just inspiring each other to actually work towards it eventually being out of our lives.
And empowerment. It's about empowerment. You find out for yourself. Do your own research. Share the issue with your friends. Do the research together. Yeah. Don't just take government statements at face value. Not on this issue. They've let us down badly. I think this is the grossest example of deceiving, public deception. This is a classic example of public deception. We've been badly let down by our professional bodies and by government bureaucrats.
So what I'd like to finish with is...
say things like that. They seem to be rather outrageous.
No, I do believe it, and I agree that it's a shock, you know, to hear, and it obviously made me very emotional as a parent. So I think the thing that I want to know is the next step would be, you would never want to drink tap water again, obviously in England. So it's like it's drinking poison from what I'm hearing. So what if I wanted to put a water filter in? Would that help? Do water filters take fluoride out?
The cheap ones don't. The activated charcoal filters, like the Brita filter, they will not remove fluoride. The ones which do reverse osmosis, but there are some arguments against reverse osmosis. Bone char takes it out. But what we do is we drive in the United States, we drive 20 miles to a spring. We have our boots full of bottles, which we fill up. And we do that every few weeks. So check on the internet to see the nearest spring.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. Here in the UK, a lot of the springs have been shut so that you actually, they're very difficult to find locally, because I did look for some and I knew someone who was doing that. So yes, there is definitely a website. And I know how far away the local spring is from me as well.
There's a website that lists them, that you can find.
Well, I think, you know, there's been so much here, and there's so much more I could talk to you about for so many different things. And I know we're going to cover even more things. And I think what we'd need to do is maybe have another interview another time and cover some different things, because it's just fantastic education from you.
And Paul has like massive solutions for me, like the sustainability of the future.
Oh, the zero waste, yeah.
And I think that that's something that we'll definitely, as you know, I'm a massive advocate. We have our chickens here, and we're starting to do things within our own house as much as we can. And it's better than what is what I always say, if you can do a little bit every day. So absolutely, I would love to interview you on sustainability, both again, and have that as a separate subject. But for now, I just want to say thank you so much, Aisling, and thank you so much, Paul, for the education. I do feel very moved by, you know, as a mum, the things that I've learned today. I didn't expect to come on and be moved the way I have. So thank you so much for your time, and I'm so grateful that I got to interview you both. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Okay. And if anybody wants to find out more, then obviously we'll definitely get the links on the bottom so that people can get in touch with you. Brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.